A single egg has a narrow 12 to 24-hour window for fertilization. Out of millions of sperm, only one will break through. The moment it does, the egg surface locks instantly, and your baby's entire genetic blueprint is decided right here. For the next 5 to 6 days, this fertilized egg, now called a zygote, tumbles down the fallopian tube. It forms a cluster of cells which burrows into uterine lining, securing its place for the next 9 months. And just like that, you're pregnant. Though most women won't know for another week or 2. By week 3, the embryo is already organizing into 3 distinct layers. One will become the nervous system and brain. Another will develop into the heart and blood vessels. The third will form the digestive system and lungs. By week 4, and the amniotic sac is forming, a fluid-filled sanctuary that will cushion your baby for months to come. The placenta begins its role, preparing to become the ultimate delivery system for nutrients and oxygen. Then by week 5, there's a cardiac activity. By week 6, limb buds emerge. The optic vesicles form, early structures that will become eyes. Facial features begin taking shape, and the embryo is now C-shaped. By week 7, the embryo's fingers and toes appear as web paddles. The brain divides into 5 distinct regions. Kidneys begin forming. By week 8, vital organ systems are now present, though immature. The embryo makes its first spontaneous movements, though you can't feel yet. The webbing between fingers and toes starts to disappear. Eyelids begin forming. At 8 weeks post-fertilization, your baby is no longer an embryo and is now a fetus. While all this is happening, your body is going through its own transformation. Hormones are surging, your blood volume is increasing, and your body is working harder than it ever has. That's why we created our ebook, a complete guide that walks you through what's happening with you at every stage, including nutrition tips and trimester by trimester preparation strategies. The link is in the description. Week 9, bone cells begin replacing cartilage. External genitalia are developing, though sex determination on ultrasound isn't possible yet. By week 10, the fetus can now bend limbs, turn the head, though you can't feel them yet. Fingernails start forming. The intestines, which have been developing outside the body in the umbilical cord, move into the abdominal cavity where they belong. Week 11, tooth buds form beneath the gums. Red blood cell production shifts from the yolk, sac, to the liver. The fetus can now swallow amniotic fluid. Week 12 is when the kidneys begin producing urine, which becomes a component of amniotic fluid. Week 13 marks the end of the first trimester. The vocal cords are forming. Every major structural development is complete. In just 13 weeks, your baby has gone from 2 cells to a fully formed tiny human with beating heart, functioning organs, and recognizable features. Welcome to the second trimester. For many women, this is the easiest phase. Morning sickness usually fades. Energy levels bounce back. The belly is growing but not uncomfortable yet. Week 14. The skeleton continues hardening through ossification. Lanugo, fine downy hair, begins covering the body for warmth. Week 15. The 3 tiny bones in each ear are now the hardest bones in the body. The fetus is making breathing movements with the diaphragm, though there's no air, only amniotic fluid. This practice is crucial for lung development. Week 16. The nervous system connections between muscles and brain are establishing. Coordinated movements become possible. Week 18 to 20 is when quickening mostly occurs, and they can also find out the sex of the baby around week 20. Week 19, brown adipose tissue or brown fat begins developing. Unlike regular fat, brown fat generates heat through a protein called UCP1. This will be critical for temperature regulation after birth, when the baby can no longer rely on your body heat. Week 20 is the midpoint. The anatomy scan happens around this time, checking organ development, placental position, and amniotic fluid levels. The ears are now developed enough to hear your voice. Your voice, your partner's voice. These create neural pathways that the baby will recognize after birth. Research shows newborns preferentially respond to their mother's voice over other female voices, evidence of prenatal auditory learning. Week 22, taste buds are fully functional. The fetus swallows amniotic fluid regularly, about 500 milliliters per day by this point. What you eat flavors as fluid. Week 23, REM sleep patterns emerge. Brain wave measurements show neural activity consistent with dreaming states, though what a fetus might dream about remains unknown. At week 24, the lungs are rapidly forming air sacs and produce a surfactant, a substance that prevents alveoli from collapsing. Week 25, the hands are fully formed, the nostrils open. The lungs are practicing breathing motions with amniotic fluid. Week 26, the eyes, which have been previously shut for protection, finally open. The fetus can respond to light penetrating the uterine wall, showing that visual pathways are functioning. Week 27 closes the second trimester. The brain is developing rapidly, with gyri and sulci, the characteristic wrinkles and folds, beginning to form. This increases surface area for the billions of neurons that make us human. Welcome to the third trimester, the home stretch. Week 28 begins the final phase. Red blood cell production transfers from the liver to bone marrow, the permanent site. The lungs continue maturation, with alveoli multiplying. Week 30, lanugo starts shedding. Fat accumulation accelerates. Week 32 brings structural completion. All 5 senses are operational. Bones are fully formed but remain flexible, especially skull bones, which must compress during vaginal delivery. And this is where preparation becomes critical. Your baby is almost ready, but are you? Knowing what to expect during labor, understanding your birth options, and having a solid plan can transform your birth experience. Our birth prep ebook covers everything: creating your birth plan and what to pack. Link is in the description. The central nervous system achieves major milestones. Myelin sheaths are forming around nerve fibers, speeding neural transmission. The lungs are nearly mature, with surfactant production at adequate levels. Lightening, or dropping, occurs for most first-time mothers. The fetus descends into pelvis, the head engaging with the pelvic bones. This relieves pressure on the diaphragm, but increases bladder pressure. By week 37, your baby reaches early term. While they are fully formed, those final 3 weeks are not just waiting time. Between weeks 37 and 40, the brain and lungs complete their final polishing. Weeks 38, 39, 40. These final weeks are critical for brain development and fat accumulation. The brain weighs only 2/3 at 35 weeks compared to 40 weeks. Fat reserves provide energy for the challenging process of birth and the early days of life when feeding patterns are establishing. By week 40, the placenta weighs approximately 500 grams and has completed its role as life support system. Labor initiation remains partially mysterious. Current research suggests it's triggered by a combination of fetal hormonal signals, particularly cortisol release from the fetal adrenal glands and prostaglandin production in the uterine tissues. The exact mechanism is still being studied. So that's it. 280 days. 1 fertilized egg. 37 trillion cells by birth. This is the most complex biological process on Earth, and you just learned every critical stage. From cellular division in the fallopian tube to a fully formed newborn, ready to breathe, cry, and begin life outside the womb. The science is extraordinary. The preparation matters just as much. If you're pregnant or planning pregnancy, subscribe for weekly evidence-based content on prenatal health, nutrition, and development. Get our birth plan ebook. It's your complete guide to confident, informed birth preparation. Link is in the description below. Drop a comment. What's one thing you learned today that you didn't know before?